Welcome, you human athlete. How are you? More people that have joined Human Athlete. I am thankful for your time. It's the most valuable thing that we can give each other. I am Coach S, a 13-year, now 14-year multi-sport coach at girls basketball, boys lacrosse. I do specialize in football, defensive backs, and special teams. My postgraduate work in applied sports sciences, which includes coaching psychology, coaching science, athletic development, physiological development, all of it. I have graduated at the top of my class. So welcome. We're going to cover 4 of what I believe are the main intervention points when it comes to competitive anxiety and stress. So let's jump in. There's the competitive stressor, right? It's any aspect of competition where the athlete has to mobilize the physical and the mental resources, right? The coping strategies to successfully accomplish a task or what they're being asked to. And that first point of intervention, can I call them POI? That first point of intervention, right after that competitive task is set forth, is appraisal, right? So you reflect on the demands of the challenge in relation to your coping resources, right? Your mentally and physically, what you can apply to those. Coaches, this is where reassurances are really helpful to the athlete through high levels of trust in the training that they have been going through. So think about that, right? Reassurances are helpful to athletes at the appraisal level because of the high levels of trust they have in the training they've been doing. I hope that makes sense. So that's your appraisal. The second POI, point of intervention, is to employ a coping strategy, also known as the GROW model. It's problem, there's a couple here. So A, problem-focused coping, right? Controlling the controllables. But what is that? What does that even mean, right? It generally controlling things that you can directly control, right? Your breathing, your focus, for example. Those generally result in better performances. There's B, emotion-focused coping. Dealing with the emotions, right? Proper venting. Someone's throwing helmets around, probably not proper venting. Someone's whipping their tennis racket, probably not proper venting. But whatever. It's an observation. It's not a criticism, right? But with emotional focused coping, performances, outcomes may vary. And then there's C, no coping strategy at all. And so the reality is that you'll need 2 of the 3 of those at certain specific times, right? At what time to use the right one? But really 3, and perhaps you don't need a coping strategy. You know, I'm not a presumptuous individual, so I don't think to myself, oh yeah, you need a coping strategy. Maybe there's an athlete that none of this stuff bothers them. Could be, right? That could also be good or bad. Depends. It's all relative. But it's possible and positive to have those great coping strategies and have successful outcomes. But if you're not stressed by those things or you handle them really well, it's good for you to have those strategies in your pocket, right? So a quick review of number 2 is employ a coping strategy which also is known as the GROW model, right? Problem-focused coping, controlling the controllables, breathing, focus, your thinking, right? Or B, emotional focused coping, or, venting emotions, how you channel those, or no coping strategy at all. Does competitive anxiety place you in a negative state, or what state does it place you in? And are you channeling your anxiety, right? Are you directing it? Are you channeling it? Do you know? If you don't, it's all good. That's why we're having this talk, right? But if you're able to interpret your competitive anxiety and why you're feeling and behaving the way you are, well, that's great. And actually, that's number 3, interpretation. It's similar to appraisal, mentioned at the outset. Athletes, it is the adjusting of your interpretation, constant adjusting, if need be, of your interpretation, and placing it on a path that either facilitates or promotes your development, right, in a positive way, or debilitates, right? Debilitates your development and makes it more challenging, or even takes it in a negative way, right? So the interpreting how you're getting that stress and anxiety, is it positive, is it negative, is it facilitating, is it debilitating? Like, that's the interpretive part of it, right? The 4th is management of competitive strain. Now, management of competitive strain, right? People talk about yoga breathing or stretching. I do a few yoga breaths forever during my resistance training, especially when I'm actually, wherever my training is at resistance wise, periodization factored into that. I always take a few yoga breaths, especially when I'm using heavy weights, right? Stretching, I stretch as much as I can. So I can say to you that for me, yoga breathing or stretching, like, those things work, right? But when you're trying to manage competitive strain, it could be a few different things, right? Whatever you find that helps you in a holistic and healthy way. Some of the symptoms are a somatic strain, right? Increased heart rate, muscle tension, or mental fatigue, right? Inability to concentrate, narrowed visual attention, poor decision making. That's A and B, respectively. And so those are the 4 main, I think, important points of intervention when it comes to dealing with competitive stress and anxiety. And my personal perspective, observation is, like, absolutely. You can use those on the field, on the pitch, on the court, on the mat, wherever you compete. And you can also use those in your personal life, right? The life skills. I love when they just mesh together. Human athlete. Thrilled you're here. Can't be one without being both.